So this is a really, really, really weird movie to me because after watching it, I can't like definitively tell you guys that it is for sure a good movie, but for some reason, I can tell there was a lot of effort put into it, and for some reason, I found that effort to be incredibly admirable and also just very mentally stimulating, and I still can't really process why. What's up, everybody? How's it going? How's everyone doing today? Welcome back. So for today's video, we're talking about a little movie called Don't Let Go. And I don't know if I just didn't have enough coffee today or what, but I'm really having a little trouble processing my exact feelings about this movie, so take that with a slight grain of salt. But I feel that this movie had a lot to say, but it just wasn't 100% sure of how to say it. The basic plot of the movie is that David Oyelowo plays a police officer, and he finds out that his brother's immediate family has just been killed. However, shortly after their murder, he starts getting these phantom phone calls from his niece, played by Storm Reed. And you very quickly find out that she is talking to him from a different timeline, and so from that point on, the two of them kind of work together to figure out exactly what the hell happened. Now, this movie, it very, very clearly has some problems, but for some reason, I found myself very, very attached to the kind of nuance that the director was able to pull off. Because this movie does bend its genre a little bit to the point where I thought it was very, very intriguing. I would say if you're a fan of movies such as Frequency or maybe even The Butterfly Effect, I would say that this movie might be up your alley, even though there's no correlation between characters and scenarios and whatnot. But this movie does share some story-driven similarities between those two movies. As far as the negatives in the movie, I would say that the third act, it kind of falls apart here and there, just as far as like logistical things and choreography and a couple things that weren't properly conveyed. And also there's a part where a character says a specific line that kind of reveals something to you, but I wasn't totally sure of what the ramifications of that revelation was, so that kind of threw me off for a little bit. And it's also pretty evident early in the movie that this, as far as real-life police protocols, this movie was kind of playing it fast and loose with those. Because when the main character goes into the house of the crime scene, he doesn't immediately call for backup, and you would think that that was the first thing that he would do before even entering the house. And it also feels like some pieces of evidence are not like cared for in the most secure of ways also, which kind of threw me off. But I personally was kind of able to suspend disbelief for a couple of those things, so I didn't let it bother me too much. But I know for some people, little things like that tend to bug them, so that's why I bring it up. But other than that, there's some really actually solid filmmaking peppered throughout this movie though. Most notably, the acting performances. I thought David Oyelowo was really, really good in this movie, and I also really liked Storm Reed's performance. Which is nice to see because when I went to see A Wrinkle in Time, I thought it was not a very good movie, but it wasn't necessarily Storm Reed's fault. And this movie is further evidence of that because she definitely has acting chops. She was just stuck with a not so great movie. And quite a few of the side characters didn't do too bad of jobs either. And I will admit, within the script, there were a few things that you could kind of see coming like 2 minutes ahead of when they were supposed to happen. So the movie did suffer, it had a little bit trouble telegraphing certain things in a proper way, but I did like how some of the events in the movie were actually carried out and some of the tension that was built up. And the one thing that I thought this movie nailed to a T was the tone. Like, I felt the kind of like dangerous like uncertainty that this movie was trying to convey to you. And I mean to say that it was tight just from a scene by scene basis. It wasn't necessarily laced together as tightly as it could have been, but there was still a lot of like nuanced stuff that the director was putting in there. And the tone was also supplemented pretty well, I thought, by the music that they picked. Because the music, it felt really, really weird at certain times, but then they kept repeating it throughout the movie and it just felt more and more at home as you heard it. But yeah, overall, guys, for some reason, I really thought this movie was stimulating, even though it had a lot of problems to it. And I can't entirely explain why. I don't know if it's just maybe the mood that I was in when I went into it or what. I really don't know. But I loved the way that the tone was crafted in this movie. So that being said, I'm not sure exactly who I can recommend this movie to. I'd say maybe if you're into crime thrillers and you don't mind a little bit of a genre bend, maybe this is a movie for you. But some of the little procedural things might bug you. So I don't know. Like, I'm really curious to see what other people have to say about this movie. But as it stands right now, despite the problems, I think I'm gonna give it a 7.6 out of 10. I definitely left the movie having felt something and being moved by it in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it was really in a good way or really in a bad way, but I can tell you for sure that I had a very interesting experience. So sorry if this review sounded a little muddled, but that's all I got. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you guys seen this movie? Have you heard of it? Please jump in the comments if you've seen it. I'm really curious to hear what people have to say. And other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other YouTube-y type of stuff, and I will catch you guys next time.